Well, 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 you did not see that coming. Welcome, everybody, to Stop and Go F1 for our reactions to the Australian Grand Prix. And you know what? That was a fun one. I enjoyed it. I don't think it was any better than the ones that we've had already, but I didn't think those were bad either. A very fun race, very interesting race, and the most important thing, a very unpredictable race. Let's get into all of it right now, so make sure you like and subscribe, of course. That is the rules there. But before we can get into the race, there's a few things to cover about the starting grid. Perez did get a penalty for impeding Nico Hülkenberg, so he dropped from P3 to P6, and Zhou is starting from the pit lane. Now, we saw in qualifying that Zhou got damage to his front wing. Still not sure entirely how he got that damage, but he did get the damage, and they didn't have any replacements for that spec of the front wing. They only had the previous spec. So by going back to the previous spec, they broke Parc Fermé, so he had to start from the pit lane there for Zhou. But as we go on to the race, we have Max Verstappen on pole position, Carlos Sainz alongside him. In terms of tyres, we have Hamilton, Ricciardo and Zhou all on the soft compound tyre. Now, we saw in the F2 race this morning that the softest compounds that they were using just melted away super quickly. So, for the soft compound tyres, for the likes of Ricciardo and Zhou, I could kind of understand it because, Ricciardo was near the back, Zhou starting from the pit lane, why not try something different? For Hamilton starting in P11, I thought that was an incredibly questionable decision from Mercedes. I'm not really sure what they were thinking there, and spoiler alert, I guess we'll never know. In terms of the rest of the tyres, Alonso and Hülkenberg start on the hards, everyone else on the mediums. As we go from the start of the race, Verstappen gets away quite well, and that's the only positive thing we can really say about his race today, because on lap 2, Carlos Sainz takes the lead. Verstappen's car has a serious issue, a lot of smoke coming out of the car. Initially I thought it was an engine issue, but it is not. It appears to be a suspension/brake issue. The right rear brake seems to just be locked on and he can't really do anything. The back of the car sets on fire, the tyre explodes, Max Verstappen out of the race on lap 3. So, huge shocker there. Max's first retirement in 2 years, which is an incredible streak of reliability for him. It had to come to an end at some point. It just so happened to come to an end at the same track that it started. But yeah, big surprise there from the Red Bull, which has looked so good up until now. Interestingly, the whole brakes locking on thing, that happened to me once in a Vauxhall Astra, and I can tell you, it's difficult. It's me and Max, lots in common. But yeah, Max Verstappen out of the race, which is it's a shame there for me because I like him and I want him to win, and also it destroyed my fantasy team. I don't want to see those points when they come in. So Carlos Sainz now leading the race. On lap 6, people start to come into the pits. Ricciardo is the first to come in for the hards. Hamilton pits in lap 8, as does Magnussen and Zhou. Russell in lap 9 with Stroll and Bottas. Another slow stop for the Sauber team. Leclerc, Piastri, Yuki all come in on lap 10. Norris and Perez lap 15, and then Sainz is in from the lead on lap 17. But something else that happened on lap 17 is Lewis Hamilton retires. His car gives up on him as well. Seems like an engine issue for him. He has to just pull over to the side of the road. This brings out a virtual safety car. Fernando Alonso takes advantage of this and pits on lap 18 to the mediums. He gains massively from the virtual safety car there. Interestingly, it goes to show, Lewis has always been incredibly lucky with his reliability, the same way Max has. This is the first time since both of them have been in Formula One that both of them have retired due to reliability issues, which is a madness. But yeah, huge stuff there where both Max and Lewis out of the race before we even got to 20 laps. As the virtual safety car ends, Hulkenberg and Gasly pit. Perez is quite far down at this point and has to try and fight his way through the grid. He gets past Stroll for P7 on lap 19, then past Russell for P6 on lap 21. Haas give team orders to swap around Hulkenberg and Magnussen on lap 24, and it proves to be the right decision because one lap later, Hulkenberg is right on the back of Albon for P10. Perez gets past Alonso for P5 lap 27. Albon pits for the hards on lap 28. And we get team orders from McLaren telling Piastri to move aside for Lando Norris. Now, Lando was the faster of the two, but I still don't like to see it, especially when it's for a podium position. It's still not great, but I understand why they did it. Ricciardo pits again, lap 30. Now we're getting our second load of pit stops. Magnussen lap 34, Leclerc lap 35, Perez lap 36. Zhou comes in and we get another very, very slow stop for the Stake F1 team, Kick Sauber. Apparently they're using different wheel nuts or something, and I don't understand how they can be this bad at pit stops. Their pit stops were fine last year, and now they're dreadful. They haven't changed the tyres, they haven't changed the wheel guns. Apparently they have got these new wheel nuts, and Ted Kravitz was saying their aim for pit stops are 6 seconds, which is more than double what other teams are doing, which is just, I don't think that's acceptable for a team. And you have Bottas's first stop where he was very, very slow. He was in a decent position there. You're never going to score points if there's a chance that when you come into the pits, you're going to be sat there for 30 seconds. That's just never going to happen. And Zhou had an even worse one here. It's just embarrassing. It's really, really bad for a team to be like that. Especially, everyone brings up the whole Andretti thing of, we don't think Andretti would be competitive. You've got a team here who have multiple 30-second pit stops in a race, which is just embarrassing. Hulkenberg pits lap 36, Yuki's in lap 37, Bottas lap 38, and Bottas is a 3.5 second stop, which is a record for the Stake F1 team, Kick Sauber. Stroll comes in lap 38, Piastri lap 40, Norris lap 41, Sainz lap 41. Piastri has a fantastic overtake on Alonso for P4 on lap 42. This is followed by Alonso coming right into the pits. He was on the mediums at that time, towards the end of that lifespan. We get a nice little battle between Magnussen and Albon for P11. This lasts a few laps until lap 45, when Magnussen's able to get past him. Gasly gets a 5-second penalty for crossing the pit line. He did this again yesterday. The same mistake twice, but there you go, whatever. And then George Russell does George Russell things. He's all over the back of Alonso for P6 on lap 54. But yeah, with like one lap to go, it gets too much for him again. He makes a mistake. He's in the wall. It brings out the virtual safety car. We finish the race behind the virtual safety car. And here we have it. So the winner of the race was Carlos Sainz. Absolutely incredible drive from him. Took the lead on lap 2 and didn't look back at all. We said yesterday about how impressive it was that he went from having surgery 2 weeks ago to being on the front row. Even more impressive, he had surgery 2 weeks ago and now he's won the race. Also, what's quite weird is, we're not allowed to have winners anymore in F1 who aren't Max Verstappen or Carlos Sainz. In the last, 22 races, it's just been Carlos Sainz or Max Verstappen, which is pretty funny. Charles Leclerc in P2, a fantastic 1-2 for Ferrari, well deserved. Only 4 points off the back of the Red Bulls now in the Constructors' Championship. What I find very interesting though about Charles Leclerc is he's always a guy who is associated with having bad luck in his career. The last 5 races, Charles Leclerc has been on the front row. The one race where he messes up his qualifying lap and doesn't get on the front row is the race where Max Verstappen has a reliability-based DNF. So another bit of unluckiness there for Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris completes the podium, his first podium of the year. Piastri coming home in 4th at his home race. When Norris was getting interviewed before the podium at the end, I thought I heard people booing him. I don't know if it was people booing him or the Ferrari mechanics celebrating a photo. It was one or the other, but Yeah, the Australian fans, understandably, not too happy that their boy had to move aside for Lando Norris. Perez comes home in a very disappointing P5. Yeah, not the best weekend for him there. You know, he got off the back of two Red Bull 1-2s in a row. Max looked to have some decent pace, even when his tyres were stuck on the first lap. Yeah, disappointing for Perez. Some good overtakes, but overall didn't have the pace to take it to the likes of the McLarens or the Ferraris. Alonso and Stroll bring it home in 6th and 7th. Some good points there for Aston Martin. Yuki Tsunoda, though, at P8. So that's some very good points for the Racing Bills, their first points of the year. Unbelievably, 9th and 10th, Nico Hulkenberg, Kevin Magnussen, double points finish for Haas. Fantastic stuff there for the Haas team. Alexander Albon in Logan Sargent's car comes home in 11th, so very, very close to scoring some points for the Williams team. Ricciardo in 12th. I think he'll be a bit disappointed with 12th place there, to be honest with you. But yeah, it just seems like even though he was on the soft compound tyres, he didn't really get anywhere on the initial laps. I think maybe he was just trying to avoid an incident, but then from there wasn't able to really build anything. I think he was just let down in qualifying because his lap time got deleted. Hopefully better things coming for Ricciardo pretty soon. Gasly did quite well, P13 for him in the end. Bottas and Zhou 14th, 15th. Ocon 16th, the last of the finishers. Then George Russell DNF, because he's an idiot. Lewis Hamilton DNF because the engine gave up, and Max Verstappen DNF because his brakes were stuck on. So overall, not the most exciting race in the world, not a fantastic race, but I think not a boring race either. I saw a lot of people online being like, look, even when Max Verstappen isn't winning, it's still boring. It's like, I didn't think it was boring, I thought it was alright, and I think the ones where Max Verstappen wins are alright as well. Maybe I'm easily pleased. There you go. Right, so there you have it. There is the reaction to the Australian Grand Prix. A fun one. We'll be back tomorrow for all the driver ratings, so make sure you subscribe for that. Until then, though, let me know what you thought of the race in the comments down below. Until tomorrow, though, we'll see you then. I don't know how... I'm so tired. In the last 24 hours, I've had an hour and a half of sleep. I've forgotten how to end these videos. I'm just going to click stop recording now. This is the end.